Mississippi's trusted weather experts. This is Mississippi Live Weather at 5.
Welcome into Mississippi Live Weather at 5. I'm Chief Meteorologist Matt Lawpon on this Wednesday evening, just about a week away from Christmas. And while it has been a little cloudy today, we've had a few showers. I think those chances for rainfall get a little bit better on your Thursday. It's one of the things we're tracking here in the Room to Room Weather Center this evening. Some storms on Thursday, maybe even a few that are somewhat heavier. We're looking at instability, what fuels thunderstorms, to see which one of those are most likely to have some issues there. One more big drop on the way before I think we talk about the big warm up. That is the story looking toward Christmas, is just how warm those temperatures get. But the dip before that, how quickly do we increase as we get toward that big game? Of course, Tulane making the trip into Oxford for that playoff game and the college football playoff. We have that forecast as well coming up this evening. First 12, we're 49 degrees at 7, 47 to look toward 10, and working our way in the upper 40s by the overnight hours with rain chances there limited around 10 to 20% or so until the daytime period tomorrow. And that's when I think we'll have a few thunderstorms that try to mix in with our overall pattern. This evening, outside in Shelby, a good example where things are starting to get a little more saturated, 55 the temperature, but that measure of moisture there coming in 48. That tells us that the dew point, that measure of moisture, a little higher than it was last night. And certainly in the Delta, those values are the highest. As you can see there on the latest scans of Mississippi Live Weather Radar in the corner. No precipitation there or in Mabin at this time. We're 50 degrees in Mabin at this instant. That dew point again coming in somewhere in the mid 40s, so a little bit drier air farther east. And our Tupelo Sky Cam at this instant brought to you by Mitchell Cunningham and Bowling. 48 the temperature, that measure of moisture, that dew point only 37. So that's a pretty big difference there, west to east. And we'll look at that in more detail in a minute, because the thing is that is a limiting factor on the strength of thunderstorms. Looking at Mississippi Live Weather Radar, no real major precipitation out there. Most of what you see depicted here, lighter variety stuff, not making it all the way to the ground, a sign that we're still saturating the lower levels of the atmosphere. I mean, yeah, there might be a few sprinkles over top of that in Kilmichael and in Montgomery County there in Winona at this time, but not expecting much more than really a couple sprinkles out of that this evening. Severe weather risk is something that we were talking about last night. At this instant, Storm Prediction Center in Norman, Oklahoma has left off that risk for locations in Tennessee where it had it last night. In saying that, we're watching the quantity of moisture increasing, and I still think it's possible we could end up with a very narrow band where we could potentially have maybe just enough fuel to get one or two moderately strong wind gusts. This is not a severe weather event per se, but maybe one or two thunderstorms that are a little heavier could mix in with the overall pattern. Here's the look on Mississippi Live Weather Radar. We do have the satellite component that's mixed in with this as well. You could see that cloud cover increasing as we're bringing more moisture out of the Gulf of Mexico there. Some showers back into Texas associated with this here. So this is the moisture kind of working its way northward. But it's got to get out in front of this next frontal system you see back out on the plains. That system has some snow with it, has some of everything with it, but it is moving just fast enough. When you think that this is going to be here by this time tomorrow, that's a lot of distance that it's got to make up over that period of time. Gabe's going to get his calculator brain on here behind the scenes. I'm going to tag him in on the monitor here in just a second on this. So 909 divided by 24. When I see you ready there behind the scenes, Gabe, I will tag you in on that shot here in a second. 909 divided by 24. That tells me the speed that's going to move over the next 24 hours. Gabe Maynor here, what you got?
It is going to be, according to my calculator app, 37 to 38 miles an hour. So that's a pretty swift-moving system, to say the least.
Right, yeah, that's moving pretty quickly there. So it will not take long to get here. I appreciate you for having the calculator ready on that there. Yeah, quick draw, right?
Exactly.
When the nerds are quick drawing, it's not like guns like in the old West. Quick draw that calculator, right?
See, I want to say that I could have mental math that, but that I think was left in my glory days in college. So calculator for sure.
I appreciate you calculator mathing that as well. We'll talk to Gabe a little bit more, looking at some of your Marion Bright pictures and some other things here a little later on in this broadcast. But ahead of this frontal boundary that is, again, moving pretty quickly, the moisture is just trying to get up in here. The question is, can it do it fast enough? And that really ends up being a struggle in this situation. It's part of the reason why overnight, this is all just lighter variety rainfall there through Mississippi, all across the state, back out into Arkansas, with that front still getting closer. in saying that, you do note a few more thunderstorms that kind of mix in with this as we head towards, say, 6, 7 o'clock tomorrow morning there. That's what we're depicting down here closer to Meridian and Bay Springs and Laurel. Again, a possibility of a few rumbles mixing up these showers. So it is a sign we're bringing up more moisture. And if there's enough here by the time that front gets in, we could have a couple of stronger thunderstorms. I think, again, that's more the exception to rule, but something we're watching closely. You can see then here that we have the rain chances and thunderstorm chances probably reaching their peak as we head into the afternoon. This shows most of those out of here, most of the rumbles out of here by 6 p.m. by this time tomorrow. So it will be probably around the time you pick kids up from school, give or take a little bit, when those thunderstorm chances end up kind of reaching their peak. Mid-60s, that's well above our normal for this time of the year on your Thursday afternoon on those southerly winds bringing in more moisture. But they switch around to the north and bring much, much cooler temperatures. How much do those drop? We're looking at that coming up in 60 seconds, as well as eventually the forecast for Ole Miss, for Alabama, and the Marion Bright pictures across North Mississippi. Your shot to get those onto the television screen here. That's coming up here in 60 seconds. The Mississippi Live Weather continues here from the Room to Room Weather Center right after this.
Give the gift of a delicious burger from Bulldog Burger, a soup and sandwich from Sweet Pepper's Deli, appetizers and cocktails from The Grill, or even a wood-fired steak from Harvey's. Choice is the perfect gift. An all-in-one gift card from Eat With Us.
If you're a family of 4, 5,
Or 6, 7.
Merry Christmas
From Mississippi Live Weather.
That was good.
I think that was the one.
Okay.
There we go.
Oh, you guys didn't do it.
No, we didn't.
Community is the way we find our strength and share our hope. It's the way dinner on the table brings a family closer together. It's the way we make sure his first chapter book is the first step on his path to greatness. It's the way we rally in hard times and rise back up stronger than ever. United is the way we come together so everyone can thrive. Join us at unitedway.org.
This portion of Mississippi Live Weather is presented by Little's Jewelers.
Right now, from the Room to Room Weather Center, here's Mississippi's Chief Meteorologist, Matt Lovhawn.
It is absolutely not beginning to look a lot like Christmas out there. Certainly, you could argue earlier this week it did, but that is not the case looking toward the holiday itself. Yeah, we're going to have a dip later this week, but by the time we get to next week, I mean, Christmas Eve, we're now 1 week away from that today. 69 the high, 70 by Christmas Day. Forecast looking very warm. Maybe not record-setting, but at this point, mainly dry as well. Anytime we're this warm this time of year, you do start to wonder about some storm chances there, but overall pattern probably going to keep us dry through the holiday itself as we look ahead toward what is going to be obviously a time of the year that everyone tries to spend some time with family. And from all of us here at Mississippi Live Weather, Merry Christmas, like we said before the commercial break or during the commercial break a second ago there. Forecast rainfall over the next 3 days. Not terribly substantial, as you can see here, where we show, the kind of bluish sort of colors. This shows kind of how on a widespread scale, we're talking maybe a couple tenths of an inch of rainfall, the quarter of an inch for locations in the east. But when we start talking thunderstorms, there will be isolated heavier amounts. It's just confidence in the positioning of those thunderstorms, the specific storms themselves, remains a bit of a question. What is not is that the peak time frame will be when you're picking the kids up from school tomorrow. I think we'll have some showers around in the morning, more than what we had today. So your IMPC school bus forecast, probably an umbrella or at least a jacket that has some water repellent to it as we go into tomorrow evening. Certainly what I would probably recommend there as well as we're picking up the kids up from school. 40% on that rain coverage in the afternoon, 30% in the morning. Definitely going to have some showers around that probably impact some of those plans. And, obviously that means, trying to keep the kids dry. Wide shot here shows, again, the players with this. As we talked about before the commercial break, we have this front moving in from the north and west. But ahead of that, we're still kind of priming the atmosphere. So what does that mean? So you see here in advance, we have kind of the moisture that's moving northward like this, right? That's, again, kind of attached to the fact that we have high pressure that's just off the screen there out into the Atlantic Ocean. So that's kind of pumping in more moisture from the south. And you can even see that if I advance this here, just how you can see the general shape of the green dots working their way northward. That all comes together to try to, again, increase the chances that we see more shower activity in our area as we go into the overnight hours and eventually tomorrow. So you'll notice how it's just fairly light stuff there until we get closer to dawn tomorrow. I think there's just enough lift with this, what we call on the kind of the leading edge, what we refer to as the low-level jet, to have some of these little rumbles possibly popping up for early tomorrow. No severe weather with that. And honestly, in general, severe weather, not a high likelihood out of this. And you can kind of see part of the reason why. Look at the temperatures here. We're 44 for that low in Red Bay, 46 Amory. Much, much warmer than earlier this week and even this morning for that matter. 45 Tupelo, 51 though Greenwood, Belzona. This is what I'm talking about. These temperatures warmer in the Delta because moisture moves more freely. There's less friction, less hills, less trees. And so moisture can move more quickly out of the Gulf of Mexico northward for locations that direction. That's why we get a few of these thunderstorms or maybe a few rumbles there early in the day. We're looking at 8 a.m. We're looking at 9 to 10 o'clock in the morning. Not much that's overly heavy at that point in time here. If we go just a little bit wider, though, you'll start to see the beginnings of some of those storms getting a little heavier here. So we're looking now close to 11 a.m. to noon time, and a few little rumbles kind of depicted in this sort of leading edge here. And you can even see the dots bringing more of that moisture out of the Gulf of Mexico. There's more fuel out in the Delta. And so if we're to see a couple stronger thunderstorms, what probably happens is they get firing out here and then ride the nose of moisture eastward. So notice how we have a couple more starting to develop near the Mississippi-Alabama state line, maybe a little too far east on this projection, the way reality works. I think things are still a little out of sync on that, 2 to 3 o'clock. But notice right along the front, and this is what we would expect, to have thunderstorms developing pretty much right on or just ahead of that boundary there from Canton back out here toward Kosciuszko, toward around Starkville, Houston, and Fulton there by around 4 p.m. to 5 o'clock. There could be, again, 1 or 2 of these that have a couple of wind gusts with them. The interesting thing looking at the shape of this, right? It's very kind of swishy and, back and forth, and it's not overly heavy. I think most indications on that would lead me to believe the sub-severe storms, non-tornado sort of thunderstorms, even in the worst case scenario, we're probably only talking about maybe a couple of wind gusts out of them. But again, I think most of those below severe limits. I want to show you fuel. Notice how there's just hardly anything showing up as go overnight into early tomorrow. But 10 o'clock in the morning, remember we're talking about that moisture coming northward. You can almost kind of see the nose of that moisture here, just the tip of that. If you looked at this like an arrow, right, the arrow, the point of an arrowhead going northward, it almost looks like the point of an arrow. So we watch right on the northern point of that there. If you get enough fuel that it kind of sharpens here. See that 2 o'clock in this zone right along the Natchez Trace? That's what fuels the thunderstorms we were looking at a second ago, the couple that are maybe a little bit heavier. That's how that could end up kind of funneling in here, is if we get just enough. Now, even looking at this here, you got to get kind of in this kind of almost yellowish sort of color before we probably have enough fuel for severe thunderstorms. I think we're somewhat displaced. We don't really have quite that level up here in North Mississippi, but there is just that zone slightly ahead of the front there. From Tupelo to West Point to Louisville to Macon, where maybe we're just enough to get an isolated strong wind gust out of this. And notice that just almost completely goes away, as if, it hits a wall of some kind. No, we're just losing the sunshine. We're losing the heating of the day, and that's one of the 2 components that goes in the fuel. It's a combination of heating and moisture. And most of the time I just say moisture because usually the heating is a given. But as we lose the heating day at night, in this sort of setup, that's super critical, and so that hopefully limits the overall severity of any thunderstorms that we have. So high temperatures on your Thursday, 55 where we should be. We'll be 67 in Greenwood, 68 in Belzona, kind of about 65 degrees Houston, Starkville, Columbus, 61 in Hamilton, Alabama. We're 63 in Tupelo and 63 in New Albany. So as that front slides away from us, notice how very quickly we start to dry things out and clear things out. I mean, we're mostly clear by even 8 o'clock for some spots. Maybe overdoing that a little bit, but this is that cooler air that's coming in back behind this system, and it will be breezy as well. So all the rainfall out of here, any storm chances out of here beyond dark, really, and then moving in drier and cooler air as we progress into Friday early morning. That means that we're back into the cold category for early Friday. Look at these low temperatures, down to 31 Holly Springs, 33 degrees, New Albany, Tupelo, Houston coming in 35 or 34 degrees or so, 35 in Eupora, and 33 in Bruce, Water Valley, and the Oxford area. Wind chill temperatures, though, That has a bigger factor. And again, it's not as extreme as earlier this week, but it will feel like it's in the 20s there in South Haven. Holly Springs at 27, with 27 degrees in Corinth, 28 degrees Iuka, 31 though Vernon, Alabama, 32 in Columbus, and 33 degrees for that wind chill temperature there in Kosciuszko. So mostly clear and dry continuing into your Friday midday time period. Those northerly winds kind of keep a cool feel to things. The wind chill will certainly be noticeable even into your Friday afternoon period for some spots, with high temperatures on Friday probably struggling to make it out of the upper 40s. So we're going 49 for Tupelo as well as Amory for those high temperatures on Friday, 52 for Starkville and for Macon, 53 warm spot Greenville and Belzona. And again, those a little below our normal for this time of the year. By Friday night, winds continue to calm down. We continue to kind of dry things on out. High pressure, the story, as that moves away from us, winds might pick up just slightly, but that southerly wind direction kind of helps us somewhat to be more mild into early Saturday. Saturday's lows, I mean, we're still probably close to the freezing point. And so, I mean, this is not a territory where we did have to drip earlier this week. We're not going to have to drip the pipes as we look toward a Saturday morning. Wind chill temperatures cold enough that, again, I'm watching closely for Oxford there. We know we have a lot of folks that are going to be outside for that Ole Miss game, getting out there in the Grove and doing all the tailgating early. So, folks, the earlier you're out, you want the layer up for that. It will still be cool throughout the morning. And if you're concerned about any sort of moisture, any kind of issues related to that, as you can see here into your Saturday, we're dry through noontime and dry into the afternoon as well. A few clouds starting to creep in, but again, no precipitation really from that until late evening there. You can't see some lighter showers, so this is close. Not directly overhead, and certainly something that we're going to be watching as we get a little bit closer, again, looking at our strike model and transitioning that to the HRRR. The full forecast on that, breaking it down from start to finish, coming up here after the break. But as we look at the forecast again, start to finish on your Thursday, there will be thunderstorms, maybe some rumbles early, Louisville, Macon, maybe Ackerman, most likely to see kind of a few of those if that were to be the case. More likely, a lot of us see some rumbles in the afternoon to maybe early evening. Still 5 p.m. tomorrow, we're 30% on that rain coverage with a peak coverage probably mid-afternoon, very near that front. We go 49 for Friday's high, and again, wind chill feeling cooler than that most of the day. We're 62 by Saturday, 61 degrees as we look towards Sunday. Again, late Saturday evening, very limited chances for rainfall northwest Mississippi, hopefully not lining up with the timing of that Ole Miss game. We are warming again into next week as, yes, we are in the mid-60s to upper 60s next Tuesday for Christmas Eve and continuing into Christmas Day. I mean, considering 55 is our normalist time, it's a reminder that if you're hoping for cold, if you're hoping for white Christmas, we are always infinitely more likely, that's not true, but we're much, much more likely to see tornadoes than we are to see winter weather on Christmas, unfortunately. So warm, it remains the weather story. Okay, coming up at 60 seconds, we are looking at that forecast for Ole Miss and for Alabama for the college football playoff as Mississippi Live Weather continues here from the Room to Room Weather Center in 60 seconds. Oh, I know what we did there, didn't we?
Yeah. Yep, sure did. Hang on.
Okay, give it a second here. We're going to hit the commercial break in just a moment. And when we come back, we'll talk.
I know you're going through a lot. I wonder if you know that we can get help. Let's see how far we can go. Love, your mind.
Growing up, Gabe was naturally curious. When he began to discover weather, Gabe just didn't want to know what was happening, but he wanted to know why it was happening. Gabe became fascinated with tornadoes, and it impacted his life. He wanted to pursue a career in meteorology. Even though Gabe grew up in Alabama, Mississippi has now become his home and his family. And one thing about Gabe is he keeps his family safe.
1 in 10 kids vape. Each vape pod can contain the same amount of nicotine as a pack of cigarettes.
The Health Class Film Guy isn't the best person to talk to your kid about vaping.
Got a few minutes?
You are. Talk to your child about vaping today.
Okay, 'tis time to talk college football. SEC football forecast presented by Carl Hogan Toyota. Alabama versus Oklahoma in Norman. Yeah, and we even have the icon on there for wind, right? It is gonna be windy for that one. These are sustained wind speeds, meaning there will be independent gusts that are stronger than this, sustained almost 25 miles per hour. That's full on planes there. So ground game will be in full support. And listen, that's not to say you can't throw in this. For the Mississippi State fans out there, when I was at Texas Tech, or when I was there in West Texas and Texas Tech was doing their things with Mike Leach, he used to say they like to throw in the wind because the other opponents weren't used to it. So hopefully that is not an advantage for the Oklahoma fans out there in the team, but we will see how that ends up playing out. Certainly best of luck to them. Ole Miss, it is just ideal. It's a different story. I mean, the forecast, I don't think you could have a much better forecast in December. We're looking at 61 for first play. We're 59 by halftime and 52 at the conclusion of the game. Hell, listen, this is lined up as good as it will for Ole Miss. I mean, come on, played them before, beat them soundly earlier in the season. Weather forecast isn't going to mess anything up. Gabe Maynard's wife is happy and ready for the game to unfold in whatever fashion that is there. And it's kind of perfect scenario on that. Gabe also here to talk to us about some of the photos that we've had come in as well.
Yeah, Matt, we've gotten some great photo submissions for our Merry and Bright Christmas light promo, and this also brings a smile to my face on top of my wife being happy and hopefully happy over an Ole Miss Rebel win. But as we take a look there, this is Tavia submitting this Weather Watcher photo with beautiful ornaments. Love the tinsel. I feel like tinsel underappreciated whenever it comes to the Christmas season. I personally, Maynard household does not use tinsel, so shout out those that do. I love the look of it. Just adds that glimmer, adds that shine, and I know they're getting to enjoy it out there. But Matt, do you have any tinsel?
What do you have against tinsel?
I just don't have tinsel. That's just not something that whenever we're getting all the decorations for the house, because new house, you have to get all the new decorations. We just got basically the necessities, a tinsel, more of a luxury. And so at some point, maybe factoring that in.
I'll admit that I am anti-tinsel.
Really?
And here's why. It gets all over the place. I mean, it's a mess. It's hard to get. I mean, it leaves its mark. I believe it's not as bad as glitter. Glitter is Satan's dandruff.
Oh my word. Oh my word.
I mean, it just is. I mean, I'm telling you right now, like a piece, like you spill glitter and you will have it in that spot the rest of your life if that spot is carpet. Anyway, and tinsel just has a tendency. It's like, oh, it's June and I found tinsel. I don't know.
But I mean, going off of that, does your Christmas tree not shed?
No, depending on the age of your Christmas tree makes a difference. We replaced ours a few years ago, and I think the glue to it doesn't shed as badly. We always do, fake Christmas trees because the pine, it just kind of messes with me.
No, I get it. But I know that even one of my old trees, we got it from my parents, and as soon as I was setting it up, I looked at the floor, and all of a sudden we had grass. There was so much green that fell off of it. So, yeah, I mean,
our old tree that we would do that. We'd shake it, and before I would get it out of the box, I'd just sit there and shake it for like 5 minutes to get some of that off.
That's smart. And then our other tree, it's flocked, so it has that fake snow on it, and you can imagine how that goes. But a beautiful look, and we love the Christmas season, so we try to just overlook those issues and enjoy the beauty that it has. And speaking of beauty, as we take a look at over there, Sarah's picture for our Merry and Bright Christmas light promo. Beautiful shot there of the porch area with the two snowmen greeting folks as they come on in, and of course the happy holidays on the door, letting folks know that they are going to have a great season. We didn't just have the Merry and Bright Christmas light promo through decorations, we also had it in the skies. Yeah, God submitting his picture, and that was that sunrise in Baldwin this morning. Regina submitting this photo. I mean, just look at those oranges, those reds, the blues, the purples. I mean, it has every shade in the sky. And a big thank you to our weather watcher, Regina, in the Baldwin area, submitting that photo. You probably got a good look at it yourself, or you got to look at some of those rainbows. Take a look behind me. This was just north of Pickwick Lake. Cody submitting this photo. Have the full rainbow, a little bit more faint off here on the left side, but beautiful there as it goes right over the northeast side of Tishomingo County. But it was a great looking sky, whether you had the sunrise or the rainbows. God was definitely showing off this morning. So Matt, I know that folks definitely enjoyed it, and let's go ahead and keep that rainbow coverage going. Missy in Boonville submitting this one, and you have to look closely. double rainbow. And that's got to be good luck. It was a great day once those showers passed on through, and really got to showcase. Do what?
But what does it mean? Sorry. It means there's more refractions, right?
More luck. That's what it means, right?
No, I mean, there's more refractions. There's different layers of
Scientifically speaking, yes. But in regards to the...
You know what I'm talking about. You're like the original Rainbow viral video, right?
Yeah. Because I think you did that once before, and I did not know it. The moment you said it, it's like, got to go get educated. So, yeah. Now I'm educated.
Yeah, you're educated. Okay, I'll let you finish on up.
Well, this is a final picture there out of Scobie. Correct me if I'm wrong, Matt, on saying that. That was more of, this was submitted by Vivian there with a full rainbow. Beautiful sight.
Right,
that was, do what?
You're right.
Perfect. Hey, I think that's the first time. But this is over there in Scobie. And what you might notice, not as much daylight pushing in. That's because these showers are moving through earlier on in the day whenever we got started with our Wednesdays. So Scobie, one of the first areas that saw those showers. Later on in the day, once that sun did start to rise, that's where we got a little bit more of those rainbows showing off in the northeast side of our viewing area. But we had pictures submitted all across North Mississippi. I highly recommend, if you guys have any, to submit those as well, because it's just a beautiful sight and something that we definitely appreciate here at Mississippi Live Weather. As we mentioned, that SEC football forecast reiterating the fact that it's going to be a beautiful day come Saturday. I don't think you get a better forecast in December than what the Ole Miss Rebels will have against the Tulane Green Wave. First play, Matt, 60 degrees, and even by the final snap, we're only talking low 50s. Cloud cover, a little bit patchy, but not bring any rainfall. So like we've been saying, it's a good forecast and a great forecast for some football.
Absolutely. Speaking of football, we're going to go to our Will Kohlmeyer here. Gabe, I'll let you go ahead and roll that beautiful footage there for me, if we can. Make sure, because I don't know which one I need to click on that.
Yes, I'll get it.
Yeah, Will Kohlmeyer with a preview here of the game. We're going to have a couple of those the next couple of nights as we look toward what some people are calling the biggest sporting event in Mississippi history.
Welcome to the Ole Miss campus here in Oxford. This practice field for the Ole Miss football team has been busy as they continue their preps this week, getting ready for Tulane this weekend. Right across the way here at Vaught-Hemingway Stadium, a first-round college football playoff game against Tulane. What a year it has been for these 11-1 Rebels. It was supposed to be a rebuilding year, right? For some of you that are not going to be able to get inside Vaught-Hemingway Stadium, don't forget, the game is on TNT, so you'll have that to look out for when it comes to watching the game. And don't forget, if you are coming to Vaught-Hemingway Stadium, be sure to check it out, see what section you're going to be in, because Ole Miss wants to stripe it out. So you got to decide if you're going to be in the red section or if you're in a section that's going to be wearing navy blue. So as we continue to look at this matchup this week between Ole Miss and Tulane, of course, Ole Miss the 6th seed, Tulane the 11th seed, the Tulane Green Wave, one of the teams that got the automatic bid for the group of 5, and they are having a nice season themselves. Of course, their first matchup here in Oxford didn't turn out very well. Got beat by 5 touchdowns back in September. One of the keys, though, this year for Ole Miss, at least in my book, I call it the big 3 in football. And that is, you've got to dominate on the offensive line, the defensive line, and you got to have a dynamic quarterback. And Ole Miss has been able to do all of that this year. In fact, if the Rebels had their defensive line from last year, this season, I think they win that game at Georgia. Of course, the offensive line has been taking care of business, and they do have that stud quarterback, don't they, in Trinidad Chambliss. And he has had plenty of weapons. You know, his receiving core, he's got all kinds of guys to throw it to. And how about the year Kewan Lacey had at running back? He's had some impressive numbers. Some of the so-called experts calling Lacey one of, if not the best running back in the country. I know Ahmad Hardy and the Missouri fans are thinking, hey, wait a second, Will, better think about our guy as well. But anyway, getting back to Ole Miss and this college football playoff, they have their stud quarterback, they have an offensive line, they have a defensive line. That should be enough this week, but we'll continue our previews all week long from here in Oxford as we count down to Saturday afternoon's tussle with Tulane, the first round of the college football playoff here in Oxford on the Ole Miss campus. But for now, that's the story here. We'll send it back to the studio.
Appreciate our Will Kohlmeyer there with that report a little earlier on today. Looking out in Oxford this evening, the weather looking nice. And as we showed you a little bit ago, about as good as you're going to get for this time of year, looking toward that weekend. Of course, some of those limited rain chances we will watch as we get closer. One of the main things our meteorologist Gabe Maynor is looking at tonight at 10 p.m. on Mississippi Live Weather here from the Room to Room Weather Center. He'll be tracking some of those limited rain chances that go along with that. I'll see if I can pop that back up here. Actually, I don't think I have, of all the things I don't have, Gabe, do I have? Yeah, there we go. Pop that back up for you. Again, 10 p.m., he'll be looking at the rain chances coming up. He'll also be looking at the possible increase in any sort of instability fuel that would help help those thunderstorms to possibly get going. We'll be looking at that, of course, coming up at 10 o'clock as well this evening. Man, Gabe, I'm going to bring you in for one last thing. It's exciting time this time of year. We're just thankful for all the folks out there for supporting us here in Mississippi Live. You can hear my phone blowing up behind the scenes. One of the things that I do want to mention that you might have noticed in the Mississippi Live Weather app is we finally have digital advertising that is in there, like fully digital advertising. It's one of those things that should be like, well, obviously. So if you've seen little pop-ups like this, we both apologize and appreciate you understanding that we are ad supported since we no longer have, a big out-of-state corporation to rely on if we have to have a bad month or 2 months or 3 months or 4 months. We're saving, we're budgeting, but yeah, advertising will be on the app. It's something we have not had to this point here that we will have going forward. So support those that support us here at Mississippi Live. And if you are one of those folks that's maybe interested in advertising with us, you can just simply hit the Advertise With Us button right on there, and it'll pop up our webpage where you can get more information from one of our many very active sales representatives. We started off with just me kind of doing sales. We now have 4 to 5 people doing it now, really 4.5, one person doing digital and, helping everyone else out. And then 4 other folks helping with advertising. So kind of growing staff, one of the many blessings we have. And they have a group chat going on right now that if you've been hearing the bings through the show, they are working hard to try to help some folks out. So we're excited about that. Gabe, thank you so much again for watching us here tonight. And we will see you coming up tonight at 10 o'clock. Anything else you're planning on talking about at 10, Gabe?
10 o'clock, just breaking down those rain chances, of course, a brief cool down before the warm weather returns for our holiday season. So it's the unfortunate part, Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, not exactly going to be shaping up to be anything too impressive, or at least not what folks want. But again, we'll break down that detail at 10 o'clock.
That means good travel weather, right? And when you get down to it, it's better to get to grandma's house and it be warm than to not get there because it was icy.
And you know that we're in the final 2 days of the week, and Annalise was telling me that all those students have pretty much migrated out of the classroom because it's just the ones that are taking up those final exams that they missed a couple days throughout the year. She was explaining it to me, so a lot of teacher lingo in that. But yeah, so this week is the last week, so if folks are looking to head out and about early.
Did you just manspeak your wife?
No, I can't say it how she does. She talks about all these details, and I don't know if my brain is incapable of understanding, but she'll ask me later, she's like, what did I say? I'll be like, teaching. That's pretty much where it goes.
I'm very pretty. You said, I'm TV pretty. Is that what you said?
When it comes to weather, I feel I have a good understanding, but everything else, my word, God made me for weather, and that's about it.
That's not true. He made you for basketball. No, he didn't make you for basketball.
He did make me for basketball. Not my body, though, just my brain.
Yeah, just your brain. Okay. We'll have Gabe's brain coming up tonight at 10 o'clock. We'll see y'all then.
What I thought was a complete life was nowhere near complete. But it is now.
Learn about adopting a teen at adoptuskids.org.
It's Friday night y estamos activos. Head out early. Drinks flowing to 11.
No sé qué pasó. I didn't even drink that much.